The manga opens with the main character narrating how he once mistook his step-sibling for a brother, only to later realize that Akira was actually his younger stepsister. One night, she casually asks if he wants to sleep with her. Shocked, he assumes it's a joke, but she simply yawns, says goodnight, and slips under his futon without hesitation. From there, he begins to explain how Akira grew so attached to him, tracing it all back to the beginning of July. At the dining table, our protagonist is chatting casually with his father, who brings up something from earlier in the day. He met a foreigner at the train station who seemed confused and needed help. Since he couldn't understand her language, he ended up taking her to the station staff. Our lad praises his father for helping out. His father then shows interest in taking English classes to improve, but the protagonist suggests that he should do something he can stick with. Right after that, the father randomly mentions the idea of remarriage, saying maybe that's something he can stay committed to. This sudden remark shocks the protagonist so much that he spits out his food in surprise. He looks at his dad, stunned, wondering if he's being serious. He replies that even though he's joked many times before, he would never mess around with something like this. Still, the protagonist isn't fully convinced and quietly doubts him. Not wanting to spoil the mood, he calmly brings up the topic again and asks who the woman is. His father begins to explain. Her name is Miyuki Tominage, someone he met at a photo shoot, and she works as a freelance makeup artist. He describes her as really cool. Our boy then wonders aloud how long they've been dating and is shocked to hear it's been 2 years. He feels frustrated that his father kept this from him, but his father blames it on his insensitive nature. When asked for a photo, he's informed of their meeting on Saturday and adds a bigger surprise, that he's going to have a step-sibling. Excited, the protagonist learns that the sibling is 1 year younger and agrees happily. But in all the excitement, he forgets to confirm if it's a sister or a brother. On Saturday, Ryota is on his way to meet his new family alone, as his father is too busy to join him right away. But his dad promised to come later, but until then, our lad is left to handle everything on his own. Feeling a bit nervous and awkward about the situation, he walks through the streets, lost in his thoughts. While on his way, he comes across a strange boy who looks confused and out of place. Concerned, Ryota approaches him and politely asks if something is wrong. When the boy turns to face him, he is taken aback by how beautiful he is, delicate features, and a cold, mysterious presence that instantly stands out. But instead of responding kindly, the boy stares at him coldly and asks if he has a problem. He is caught off guard by the coldness, but still tries to explain that he's only trying to help. After a brief moment, the boy admits that he's lost and needs help, though he says it reluctantly. Trying to be helpful, Ryota asks where he wants to go, but the boy suddenly becomes defensive and snaps that it's none of his business. Still, he keeps calm and offers a small, understanding smile, showing that his concern is genuine. Then, without warning, the boy accuses him of trying to hit on him. This surprises Ryota, who has no such intention. While he isn't interested in boys, the unexpected question makes him wonder if the pretty boy is just used to being approached like that, and perhaps that's why he jumps to such conclusions. Ryota quickly apologizes and assures the boy that he has no interest in him, not even a little. The boy, still cold, responds that the way he was approached felt strange to him. Hearing this, Ryota casually turns away and says that if the boy doesn't want help, then there's no need to force it. But just as he begins to walk off, the boy calls out from behind and asks if he truly only meant to help. If that's the case, and Ryota replies that was his intention. After a brief stare, the kid allows our MC to talk to him. This remark makes Ryota pause for a moment, thinking how cheeky the boy is. Still, he shrugs it off, assuming the boy is probably younger than him. Eventually, the boy reveals that he wants to go to a well-known Western-style restaurant nearby. The protagonist is surprised by the coincidence that's exactly where he is headed. However, the boy doesn't take this well. He frowns and accuses the protagonist once more. Despite the misunderstanding, they both end up going to the same place. Outside the restaurant, the boy chooses to wait at the entrance, saying he's expecting someone. Ryota heads inside. Just before stepping through the door, the boy suddenly apologizes for doubting him earlier. With a kind smile, Ryota corrects him, saying that if he's truly sorry, he should say thank you. Slightly shy, the boy murmurs a quiet thanks, and Ryota notices that beneath that cold exterior, the boy seems to have a softer, more delicate side. The scene shifts to Ryota, sitting with his father, who made it on time after rushing from work. Soon after, Miyuki enters and warmly greets them. She introduces herself to Ryota, and he politely returns the greeting. He is momentarily stunned. as she looks incredibly beautiful even at her age. For a fleeting second, he wonders if time has stopped for her in her 30s. But then he quickly reminds himself not to think that way, especially about someone who may soon become his stepmother. Just then, another surprise catches him off guard. Standing beside Miyuki is none other than the boy from earlier. Ryota's father is pleasantly surprised and expresses joy that the two have already met. Ryota introduces himself properly this time as Ryota Majima, now believing this mysterious boy will become his younger brother. Trying to keep things friendly, Ryota asks for his name, but the boy refuses to answer kindly. Instead, he firmly states that he doesn't wish to become too familiar, neither with Ryota nor with his father. Miyuki, clearly embarrassed by the boy's attitude, apologizes and introduces her child as Akira. Ryota's father laughs awkwardly, trying to ease the tension, and says it would be nice if Akira could warm up to them soon. After that, everyone sits down together and engages in small talk, everyone except Akira, who remains distant and cold throughout the interaction. Ryota, despite the boy's attitude, tries to smile and makes small efforts to engage him, though he begins to feel that Akira might dislike him. Later, Ryota's father suggests ordering some dessert, but Akira plainly states that he's not in the mood for it, which casts a quiet, awkward moment at the table and leaves his father visibly disappointed. Ryota steps away to the restroom, his mind clouded with thoughts about Akira. He wonders if the boy truly doesn't care about anything, or perhaps it's the idea of their parents' remarriage that troubles him. The cold attitude, the distance, the defensiveness, it all begins to form a picture that Ryota can't fully understand. But as he exits the restroom, something unexpected stops him in his tracks. Just ahead, Akira stands with a lowered gaze, his posture slightly stiff. With a quiet bow, he offers an apology for his earlier cold behavior. His voice is steady, though there's a flicker of discomfort in his expression. Embarrassment he's trying to suppress. Ryota responds with a gentle smile, suggesting that he understands. He assumes Akira's resistance comes from disapproval of their parents getting remarried. But Akira immediately shifts, eyes narrowing slightly as he clears up the misunderstanding. It isn't the remarriage that troubles him, not in the least. What weighs on him is the fear of personal space being invaded, the delicate balance of privacy being disturbed. That response makes Ryota pause. Something about Akira's words hints at a deeper experience, something personal. But it's far too soon to ask. Some walls can't be climbed with questions, only softened over time. Choosing to keep things light, Ryota gently reminds Akira that they'll soon be part of the same household. It might be better if they begin building a bond now, however small. Akira gives a slight nod, acknowledging the truth in that. Still, Ryota doesn't stop there. He looks directly at Akira and adds that simply living under the same roof doesn't make people a family. Blood doesn't flow between them, so instead of forcing the idea of what a family should be, maybe they should focus on what kind of connection they want to create, on understanding one another, sharing thoughts honestly, and trying to build trust from the heart. Ryota expresses his wish to become someone Akira can truly consider family, not out of obligation, but from the heart. Akira's eyes widen slightly, caught off guard. A faint blush colors his cheeks as he looks away, flustered. He murmurs that Ryota shouldn't go around saying such embarrassing things so casually. Amused, Ryota wonders if that means he's not open to the idea after all, but Akira quickly corrects him, telling him to just call him Akira from now on. That one small shift makes Ryota's heart lift with relief. To him, this feels like the first true compromise between them, the first step forward. The two reach out and shake hands, both quietly hoping they'll manage to get along from here on out. Later, as Ryota and his father leave the restaurant, he quietly mentions how Akira seems like a good person, just a little awkward when it comes to expressing himself. His father thanks him for handling everything so well, though Ryota gently tells him there's no need to say that. While walking, his father brings up something Miyuki Tominaga had shared earlier, that Akira usually struggles to connect with others, which makes it even more surprising that he's opening up to Ryota. Thinking back to Akira's guarded behavior, Ryota becomes curious and asks why he finds it difficult to be close with people. His father hesitates briefly before explaining. Akira's biological father, Miyuki's former husband, had been a man who avoided responsibility. He wasted money on gambling, smoked constantly, and often stayed away from home for days without any care for the family. He never worked or contributed anything meaningful. Miyuki once described him as someone who only chased after dreams, ignoring reality. And it was in that kind of environment that Akira was raised, which eventually shaped his discomfort around men. Ryota understands now. The coldness wasn't personal. Akira likely would have reacted the same way around any man. It wasn't just about their family situation, it came from a much deeper place. With that in mind, Ryota becomes firm in his thoughts. If Akira carries that kind of pain, then it's even more important that they create something better. He tells his father to leave it to him, not just for Akira's sake, but for everyone involved. He's determined to build a relationship that feels like real family, one where trust replaces discomfort. His father, amused by the sudden seriousness, asks what kind of plan he has. Ryota simply mentions that beneath Akira's cold side, there's also a softer and more delicate one, and as the older brother, he intends to cherish that. His father smiles, reminding him not to go overboard, though he admits he's starting to get a little worried after seeing Ryota's determination. But even at that moment, Ryota remains unaware of one truth, that Akira isn't his stepbrother at all, but actually his stepsister. Meanwhile, back in her room, Akira quietly reflects on everything Ryota said earlier. She finds him strange, maybe even a little too strange, but somewhere in that strangeness, there's a warmth that lingers in her thoughts. The next morning, Ryota excitedly shares some news with his friend Kausei. He tells him to rejoice because soon he's going to have a little brother. Kausei casually congratulates him, not showing much reaction, but Ryota doesn't mind and quickly brings up something else. He mentions needing a favor, though Kausei instantly refuses without even asking what it's about. Ryota laughs off the rejection and explains that his family will be moving in during the summer vacation, and he wants to prepare a warm welcome for them, especially for his soon-to-be younger brother. Ryota explains that he needs help setting up a room, and since Kausei has experience working part-time as a mover, he figured he'd be the perfect person to ask. But Kausei remains uninterested and clearly has no intention of agreeing. As they talk, a group of girls walking by notices Kausei and starts whispering about his looks. While they're clearly impressed, Kausei just looks irritated, as if used to this unwanted attention. Ryota, though annoyed, keeps on trying to convince him. He asks if Kausei is free this Saturday, but he casually replies that he already has plans, mainly to stay in bed and catch up on sleep. Still trying, Ryota reminds him that he shares his homework and assignments with him all the time, so the least he could do is help out, especially since his father won't be home this weekend. Just as Ryota finishes, Kausei stops mid-sentence. He suggests taking Hinata instead and using her help for everything he needs. Just then, Hinata walks up from behind and greets Ryota-senpai with a bright smile. Curious, she asks what he was discussing with her Oni-chan. Ryota, flustered by how close she stands, keeps it vague, saying they were just talking about cleaning his house. When she wonders aloud why her name came up, Kausei steps in to explain. He tells Hinata that Ryota's dad is getting remarried soon, so Ryota has asked for help cleaning the room for his future brother. But since he's too busy himself, he thinks Hinata should go in his place. Without any hesitation, Hinata agrees, saying she's happy to help since Ryota is a close friend of her brother. Seeing a perfect opportunity, Ryota adds that she should convince her brother to come along too. Hinata smiles and agrees, turning to Kausei with a pleading look. Caught off guard and clearly unable to refuse her, Kausei finally gives in and agrees to help. Ryota looks satisfied, having managed to get both siblings on board for the weekend. Movers are stationed outside, chatting politely with Ryota and his father as they wrap up the final bit of work. After a while, all the boxes make it inside, and Ryota, a little out of breath, confirms whether that's everything. His father nods, explaining that the new arrivals had already minimized their belongings before the move. They only brought what they truly needed. Apparently, they had been living in a cramped space, side by side on a futon, with barely any room to themselves. The idea sticks with Ryota, especially when he thinks about Akira never having a proper space of his own. His father thanks him for tidying up the upstairs area, casually saying Akira will probably be happy with it. But the tone throws Ryota off. It sounds like a joke, even if the words are sincere. He throws back a sarcastic comment, pretending to be Akira, but almost immediately second-guesses himself. What if Akira really does feel that way? He voices the concern out loud, but his father squints, amused, wondering if Ryota's attempting some kind of Akira impression. Ryota laughs weakly in response. His father reassures him that a room has already been prepared and that everything's been communicated. Ryota nods, deciding to show Akira to the room personally when they return. Still, as he glances at the unopened luggage, a thought crosses his mind. Starting to unpack without them there feels wrong. His dad brushes it off casually, mentioning that they've only gone shopping and should be back soon. True enough, it isn't long before a cheerful voice echoes through the entrance. Miyuki steps in with a polite bow, offering a sweet smile as she says she'll be in their care. Ryota fumbles slightly with his response, still adjusting to her formal tone. He and his father instinctively reach forward at the same time, offering to carry her things. She accepts with a soft laugh, handing over the bags without hesitation. While heading further inside with the luggage, Ryota can't help but peek inside out of curiosity. A wave of nervousness creeps in. He doesn't even know why he feels this tense. Just then, a quiet voice calls out to him. Turning around, he sees Akira standing at the entrance, fidgeting slightly. Out of nowhere, Akira gives a formal bow, asking to be looked after. This sudden gesture catches Ryota off guard. He responds a bit awkwardly, not sure how to handle it, and watches as Akira steps inside. Akira's greeting as she enters feels almost distant. Ryota teases her gently, saying she should just say she's home next time. She's not intruding. Akira blushes faintly, nods, and slowly makes her way down the hall. Later, he walks Akira through the house, showing him around. Eventually, they stop at one last door. Ryota gestures toward it, saying it's his. Akira pauses for a second before reaching for the handle. Seeing the hesitation, Ryota gives him a gentle nudge of encouragement. Akira finally steps inside, nervous, unsure, and then suddenly freezes in place. His eyes go wide as he takes in the room stunned. Ryota stands behind him, watching silently, happy to see the effort had paid off. Everyone had pitched in. Hinata was cheerful the whole time, and even Kause, despite all the complaining, helped out. Ryota makes a quiet mental note to thank them both properly later. He walks over to Akira and asks if he likes it. Akira fidgets a little, clearly not used to something like this. He quietly asks if it's really okay for him to have such a beautiful space. Ryota offers a warm smile and reassures him that this is his home now. If he wants to change anything or needs something, he can ask either him or Dad. Akira turns toward him with a kind of excitement Ryota didn't expect. There's a spark in his expression, one that makes Ryota's heart skip for a second. He quickly turns away, cheeks heating up. He hadn't seen that coming. That reaction was way too strong. Akira notices and asks if something's wrong, but Ryota quickly brushes it off, shifting toward one of the boxes. He offers to help unpack, reaching toward it, only to be suddenly stopped by Akira's raised voice. Ryota freezes as Akira steps forward and firmly insists on handling the rest himself. The box label catches Ryota's eye, clothing and other personal items. He steps back, understanding. Even in this shared space, some things are meant to stay private. Without much warning, Ryota finds himself being gently shoved out of the room, and the door shuts behind him with a solid thud. He stands frozen in the hallway, stunned. It feels like he might have crossed a line. A sense of guilt creeps in, and he starts to wonder if he truly made a mistake. He had assumed that since they were both guys, things like seeing some underwear wouldn't matter, but clearly he was wrong. Trying to brush it off, he mutters under his breath, telling Akira to take his time. Then he quietly gathers himself. There's no point spiraling now. Their relationship is still just beginning, and if anything, he needs to stay focused. He breathes in, mentally reminding himself to keep it together and think about how to handle things from here. In the evening, at the dinner table, everyone gathers. Ryota and his dad compliments food, and Yuki looks delighted, clearly pleased by everyone's reactions. Ryota, meanwhile, quietly soaks it all in. Compared to the usual ready-made meals he shared with his dad, this feels like a real dinner, like a proper family. Unable to hold it in, he smiles and comments on how especially good the hamburger tastes. But Miyuki, a little flustered, shyly admits it was actually store-bought from the discount deli. That catches Ryota completely off guard. He fumbles for a response, trying to play it cool, but she just chuckles gently and says she's glad he enjoyed it anyway. Ryota looks to his dad for some kind of support, but he's no help. He laughs and praises the spinach instead. Miyuki, a bit embarrassed, mumbles that even that was from the same deli. That's strike two. Both Ryota and his dad deflate a little, sinking into their seats in defeat. Trying to lighten the mood again, Miyuki smiles and promises she'll cook for real starting tomorrow. Before the awkwardness can grow, a soft laugh escapes from across the table. Akira is trying to stifle a giggle. Ryota raises an eyebrow, smirking as he teases him about it. Akira quickly insists it's nothing, but his face is clearly flushed. Ryota keeps grinning, pointing out how red he is. Akira turns away again, mumbling a denial, but Ryota feels strangely relieved. Maybe these kinds of small, silly moments are exactly what they need to grow closer. It's awkward, sure, but it's real. Later that night, Ryota is lying on his back in bed, arms folded behind his head, when someone calls out to him. Mayuki lets him know that the bath is free. He answers back from his room, saying he'll go in, but the moment he steps into the hallway, he freezes. Right there in front of him stands Miyuki, her presence as casual as ever. She tilts her head, asking if something's wrong. Ryota's eyes dart away as heat rushes to his face. Without answering, he tries to walk past her quickly. She blinks, wondering aloud if there's something strange on her leg. Ryota stammers, brushing it off as he basically escapes down the hall. Inside the bathroom, he exhales deeply and starts to undress. But no matter how hard he tries to focus, that brief hallway encounter keeps replaying in his mind. Maybe Miyuki could try being a bit more careful around him. Just as that thought forms, something else catches his eye. Akira's undergarments are still inside, clearly visible. The earlier outfit starts to feel intentional. It seems like she planned things so he would walk in at that exact moment. The thought leaves him unsettled. He quickly shakes his head, dismissing the thought. She's just naturally airheaded. He sighs, sliding his pants off. Whatever the case, he tells himself not to overthink. Miyuki probably doesn't even realize what kind of position she puts people in. Then, a knock breaks the silence. Ryota tenses. A familiar voice calls out from behind the door. It's Akira. Ryota exhales in relief and tells him it's okay to come in. The door opens slowly, and Akira peeks through. But as soon as he steps inside and sees Ryota, he just stops cold. Ryota asks if something's wrong, but Akira doesn't answer right away. He stands frozen, eyes shifting nervously. After a few stuttered syllables, he fails to get a sentence out. Ryota, already halfway undressed, casually steps aside, saying Akira can bathe after him. But before the sentence even finishes, Akira lets out a startled scream and slams the door behind him, disappearing in a flash. Ryota just stands there, blinking in confusion. Shrugging, Ryota slips into the tub. As he leans back into the warm water, his thoughts begin to drift. They're going to live together now, the four of them, under one roof. It still feels a little surreal. His mind flashes back to Miyuki for a moment, and he flicks some water lazily into the air. There will be complications ahead. But as long as they stay close, maybe they'll figure it out. Ryota knows his dad should probably be the one worrying about this stuff. But if he won't step up, then he will. Ryota finishes his bath and steps out, toothbrush in hand, when a knock comes from the other side of the door. Akira's voice calls out, asking if he's done. Ryota pokes his head out and nods. Akira glances in cautiously before stepping closer. When Ryota asks if he wants to bathe next, Akira quietly confirms, cracking the door open just slightly. Ryota flashes a friendly smile and tells him there's no need to be so formal. This is his house too now. That simple reassurance makes Akira pause, and after a brief silence, he murmurs a soft thank you, then apologizes for earlier. Ryota raises a brow, not quite sure what he means, until Akira awkwardly refers to the moment as a bit too much. Ryota just shrugs and waves it off. It's not a big deal to him. They're family, and besides, it's not like it's something strange between guys. But Akira looks visibly shaken by that statement, almost like Ryota said something completely outrageous. Still, Ryota stays firm in his casual tone. He ponders that it's no different from a locker room or a public bath. To ease the tension, Ryota adds his own apology too. He admits he should have been more careful and promises to do better next time. That seems to help, and Akira nods gently. But then Ryota notices something else. Akira just added "kun" to his name. That won't do. With a grin, Ryota tells him to drop the formality. Since they're family now, he can call him Aniki instead. Or just Ryota, if that's easier, but Aniki has a nicer ring to it. After a pause, Akira nods again and agrees. He'll call him that from now on. Ryota's face lights up at the small win. Akira, completely unfazed, stares at him with a flat expression. Then, with a deadpan voice, he asks Ryota to leave so he can finally take his bath. Ryota is still brushing his teeth like a fool and insists he'll be done in a second. But Akira's had enough. He shoves him right out and slams the door shut behind him. Now standing in the hallway, toothpaste still foaming in his mouth, Ryota blinks. Akira really doesn't want anyone seeing him naked, not even a fellow guy. That's going to be a serious issue when school trips come around. Still, if it's his little brother's problem, Ryota figures he'll help him work through it eventually. Later that night, just as Ryota begins to doze off, an old memory creeps into his mind. In the dream, he's a kid again, walking down a hallway as the sound of shouting echoes around him. His mother's voice is sharp, angry. She's yelling about how the man she's with doesn't even want children. Then comes his father's voice, defiant, insisting that Ryota is his son and he's taking custody no matter what. His mother yells something else, but the words blur. His father fires back, telling her to leave and never come near Ryota again. Ryota's eyes snap open. The night air drifts in through the open window. He had the same dream again. He sits up slowly and checks his phone. His thoughts quietly drift to Akira. He wonders if he's doing okay, if he's truly come to terms with his parents' divorce. The scene fades into morning. Ryota's sitting with controller in hand, fully immersed in his game. Behind him, the door creaks open. Akira steps out. Looking back, Ryota invites him to play video games like a peace offering. Akira gives his usual quiet glance and replies flatly that he'll pass. He has a transfer exam the day after tomorrow. That snaps Ryota to attention. He offers to help study, leaning away from the screen, but Akira shuts it down with a firm shake of his head. It's been a few days since Akira and his mother moved in. Ryota's realized that connecting with his new stepbrother isn't easy. Akira is distant and blunt, but Ryota doesn't take it personally. It's just how he is. He's used to being on his own, and he gets that feeling. He was an only child too. Still, Ryota wishes they could break the ice. He calls Kause, and after explaining everything, jumps straight into the question. How do you bond with a younger brother? There's a pause. The friend sounds confused. Turns out he only has a younger sister. Realizing the mismatch, Ryota scolds himself for even calling. The friend gives a blunt answer and mutters a goodbye, but Ryota quickly changes the question. What about bonding with younger boys in general? This time, Kause offers a solid piece of advice. Don't force it. The more you push, the more they pull away. That sticks with Ryota. Maybe he's been trying too hard. Before he can think on it, there's rustling on the other end, and a new voice comes on, cheerful and unexpected. It's Hinata. She says the phone was handed off to her. Ryota's briefly annoyed, but lets it go. He explains the situation, saying he wants to bond with his stepbrother. Hinata thinks for a moment, then suggests finding a shared hobby. It's not a bad idea, and Ryota's thought of it before, but Akira keeps to himself and probably wouldn't say what he likes. When he mentions that, Hinata gently suggests asking someone who knows Akira well. That gets Ryota thinking. Only one person fits. Akira's mother. Feeling a bit more hopeful, he thanks Hinata. She replies warmly, happy to help. As the phone changes hands, Kause returns with a smug comment, clearly amused. Ryota admits Hinata's advice was more helpful. The teasing continues. Kause suggests Ryota talk to her directly next time. He hesitates, but Kause stays casual, encouraging him to keep in touch with her online. Ryota finds it a bit suspicious, but admits she was helpful. Maybe reaching out again wouldn't be so bad. Later he finds Miyuki sitting on the couch. He gently gets her attention, and she smiles, thinking he's asking about food. He quickly waves it off. It's about Akira. Furthermore, he wants to understand him better. Though they're step-siblings, Ryota has started to feel responsible for Akira, but connecting with him has been difficult. As he explains this, Miyuki's smile softens. She's touched by his sincerity. Ryota says he figured learning what Akira likes might help. Miyuki shares a few things. He reads typical boys' manga and plays phone games. Hearing that, Ryota realizes they're not so different. Miyuki agrees. Even as his mother, she admits there's still a lot she doesn't know about Akira. But one thing's certain, he's lucky to have Ryota as a brother. That hits Ryota. He wonders if Akira feels the same. He shares a memory from when they first met, how Akira had said he didn't want to grow close. Miyuki's smile fades. She gently explains that Akira might still be holding on to feelings for his biological father. Ryota, pouring a drink, asks if that's really the case. She nods. She goes on. Akira's father wasn't a great parent. He chased acting jobs, struggled with alcohol, and eventually fell apart. Ryota already knew some of this, but hearing it from Miyuki feels different. Despite everything, Akira's father had been loving in Akira's eyes. He brought gifts, played with him, and never showed his struggles. The divorce wasn't something a child could fully understand. Over time, Akira even stopped calling him dad. Miyuki's hands tighten in her lap as she speaks. Ryota listens, remembering how emotionless his own father had been during their divorce. He wonders how much Akira really understands. Setting the drink beside her, Ryota reflects. He didn't expect Akira still cared about his father. Mayuki nods. Akira's bluntness and distance often remind her of him. Sometimes it feels like Akira still holds a grudge, and she fears he might blame her. Ryota offers the drink and speaks gently. He knows their situations are different, but he can relate. He doesn't think Akira resents her. At this stage, she might just accept things as they are. Not everything has a clear answer. Mayuki smiles warmly, grateful. Ryota feels relieved his words helped. Later, Ryota is back in the living room when he hears the door creak. Akira enters quietly, scanning the room before asking where their mother is. Ryota says she's out shopping. Akira stands there a moment, murmurs something, then turns to leave. But his eyes linger on the TV. Ryota notices. With a grin, he invites him to play. Akira stiffens, trying to act uninterested, but keeps sneaking glances at the controller. Ryota pats the empty seat beside him, joking that he's tired of playing alone. Akira hesitates, says he has an entrance exam, and claims he's never played the game, but it sounds more like guilt than resistance. Ryota shrugs and says it's okay to take breaks. Finally, Akira takes the controller. Ryota catches a faint smile on his face, small but meaningful. As Akira sits beside him, Ryota asks if he's ever played on a console. Akira nods, saying he's tried it at a friend's place. That's good enough for Ryota. He smiles and tells him he's free to use this one anytime. Akira murmurs a soft thanks, barely audible but sincere. Watching him fumble with the buttons, Ryota wonders if he'd just been too shy to ask before. They're playing End of the Samurai 2, a niche historical game Ryota loves. When Akira chooses his character, Ryota does a double take. A female swordsman in disguise, part of a rogue Ronin gang. Interesting pick. He teases him about the choice, but Akira replies flatly that she looks strong. Ryota smirks and lets him pick the stage, only to see Akira already locked in before he can finish the sentence. Amused, he rushes to select his own. As the game loads, Ryota shoots him a half-serious look, warning that he won't go easy. Akira mumbles that it's his first time, but the moment the round starts, he's already causing chaos on screen. Ryota cracks his knuckles. Game on. He wins the first round, then the second, throwing in a smug comment about Akira improving but still having a ways to go. Akira seems annoyed but admits he's starting to get the hang of it. Then, in round 3, Akira wins. Quiet pride lights up his face, and Ryota genuinely compliments him. For the first time, it feels like they're really connecting. It's nice. But Ryota's not done yet. He straightens up, saying they'll go one more round. This time, he's bringing out his mane, and his samurai pride is on the line. Akira just smiles. When he wins again, his character delivers a dramatic victory line about never marrying someone weaker. Ryota groans. He's always hated that line. Trying to salvage some dignity, Ryota suggests switching to a co-op game, but Akira pouts. He was just getting into it. Ryota sighs, standing up, promising they'll play later. Before he can leave, Akira suddenly grabs his arm. Ryota stumbles, nearly falling back onto the couch. They freeze. Akira mumbles an apology, clearly flustered. Their eyes meet, and Ryota notices the nervous tension in his face. Akira's cheeks begin to flush. Ryota, curious, blurts out something impulsive, something honest. It catches Akira off guard. His posture stiffens, his blush deepens, and he fidgets, unsure what to do. Ryota chuckles, brushing it off casually. Akira tries to call him out, embarrassed they're even having this conversation as step-siblings, but Ryota stays cool. That only makes it worse. Then Ryota suddenly asks him to close his eyes. Akira hesitates, suspicious. He tenses, asking what Ryota's planning, but Ryota urges him to trust him. He closes his eyes, tense and unsure of what Ryota's planning. But he simply squishes his cheeks. Akira blinks, confused. Ryota laughs, teasing him about how soft his cheeks are. Akira jerks away, mortified. Trying to smooth things over, Ryota says something about relaxing facial muscles helping with better expressions. He adds that Akira's smile from earlier actually suited him. Akira goes quiet, thinking about it. He repeats the thought softly to himself, still unsure how to feel. Ryota rubs the back of his head, realizing he might have gone too far. He tries to lighten the mood again, teasing, "You really are kinda cute, though." That does it. Akira smacks his shoulder, face bright red, yelling that he's not happy to hear that from him. Then, without another word, he storms off upstairs, tossing a childish insult over his shoulder. Ryota just stands there, stunned. Big dummy? Seriously? Then, the front door opens, and Mayuki walks in. She sees Akira fleeing upstairs, still red-faced, and turns to Ryota, asking what happened. He plays it off with a calm smile, saying it's nothing. Still, in that moment, he was simply happy, cheering himself up with the thought that he had grown a little closer to Akira, unaware of the deeper reality behind it all. As the scene fades out and back in, the mood has changed completely. The living room is now full of rapid button mashing and loud, competitive shouts. Ryota and Akira are deep in a fierce video game battle. Ryota yells in protest as Akira lands an unfair aerial combo, clearly taking advantage of the game mechanics. But Akira, grinning from ear to ear, fires back confidently, insisting it's perfectly fair. With a few more attacks, he seals the win. His character taunts Ryota on screen, delivering a cheeky line. Hours pass like minutes as they get caught up in game after game. Since Akira's transfer exam had gone off without a hitch, August arrived quietly, bringing subtle changes between them. He begins stopping by his room more often to borrow manga. Their gaming sessions become a regular thing. Time with him grows, and Ryota finds himself enjoying every second. As another match heats up, he yells out his next attack strategy with over-the-top flair, only for Akira to shout back that he's the worst. Just then, Miyuki's voice drifts in from asking Akira to handle an errand since she'll be coming home late again. Ryota glances her way and notices the tiredness etched on her face. As a freelance makeup artist, Miyuki always seems calm, even while juggling her job and housework, but today she looks especially worn out. Akira groans and flops onto the floor, clearly not thrilled by the request. He mutters about how he's still not familiar with the area. Seeing this, Ryota stands and offers to take care of it instead. Miyuki blinks, surprised, but he reassures her with a warm smile and tells her to feel free to ask him anytime. Then he turns to Akira and invites her to come along, offering to show her around since this is her new home now. Akira hesitates but eventually agrees. Miyuki gives them both a relieved smile, and Ryota flashes a thumbs up. As they step outside, Akira mumbles a soft apology for the wait. Ryota raises an eyebrow when he notices his outfit. He's wearing a thick sweater in the middle of summer. He teases him about it, wondering aloud how he's not overheating, but Akira simply shrugs it off, saying he's used to it. As they walk side by side, Ryota throws in another light tease about Akira's fashion sense, pointing out how he doesn't really care about style despite having the looks to be popular. Akira picks up his pace slightly, rushing off the comment and saying popularity doesn't matter to him. Suddenly, Akira stumbles over the edge of the sidewalk. Ryota reacts instantly, lunging forward to catch him. He steadies him with both arms, asking if he's all right. Still a little winded, Akira nods and assures him he's fine. Ryota chuckles, reminding him he's been pretty laid back since August began, maybe a little too laid back. Akira pouts but doesn't argue, walking a step behind him. Glancing over his shoulder, Ryota admits that he's happy to see him letting his guard down. That catches Akira off guard. He stares at Ryota, genuinely surprised, and Ryota explains that at first, it had felt like Akira was keeping him at a distance. Akira lowers his gaze, his expression shifting, and murmurs a quiet apology. Ryota brushes it off casually, saying it's all right. What matters to him is that he's beginning to relax around him as his older brother, and that thought brings him real joy. Akira glances over again, a soft smile spreading across his face as he quietly calls him Aniki. Ryota responds with a laugh and throws an arm around his shoulder, telling him he doesn't mind if he acts even more immature around him, just like this. His cheeks flush red, but he protests slightly, telling him not to be silly. Ryota, unfazed, grins and claims it's simply a gesture of brotherly affection. Akira studies him for a moment, puzzled, and asks if he acts this way with anyone else. Ryota doesn't even hesitate. His grin widens as he tells him it's only for him. Before long, the scene jumps forward. They're now walking through a grocery store. Akira questions the whole point of what they're doing. Ryota, meanwhile, keeps grabbing items with purpose. He starts explaining how shops are cleverly designed to make people buy more, from the layout of the shelves to the flow of foot traffic. Apparently, if you move in a clockwise direction, you're less likely to spend unnecessarily. That's the trick. Ryota casually tosses a Red Bull into the basket. Akira raises an eyebrow. Grinning, Ryota says it helps when gaming drains his brain. Akira smacks his shoulder and tells him to at least call it studying. Then Akira grabs a can and adds it to the basket. Ryota looks surprised he's getting one too. Akira immediately justifies it, says it's for studying. Ryota isn't buying it and teases him, more like it's for social gaming. Akira puffs his cheeks slightly and insists it's both. Maybe a little. Once they wrap up the shopping, Ryota hands over a popsicle, and they walk together. As they go, Ryota glances at the sky, his mind drifting. He brings up Miyuki-san, saying she's pretty impressive. Akira looks confused until Ryota shows him the note he's holding. Turns out the shopping list wasn't just a random scribble, it's perfectly arranged to match the layout of the store. No wonder they got done so fast. Akira studies the list and makes a guess maybe it's because their mom used to work part-time at a supermarket. That catches Ryota off guard. He wonders if it was during her younger days, but Akira clarifies that it was before their parents separated. Ryota nods quietly and lets it go. He then throws out a challenge, time to decide who carries the bag. Rock, paper, scissors will settle it. Akira looks at him in disbelief. Ryota grins, calling it muscle training. Akira groans, accusing him of being a devil. Ryota just smirks and reminds him always destroys him in that samurai game. They play. Ryota wins and celebrates like he just won a major battle, proudly yelling about taking Hijikata's revenge in heaven. Akira sulks and mutters how unfair it is. Ryota calls it one of his big brother skills. As they walk, Akira lags behind and makes a dramatic show of how heavy the bags are. Ryota looks back and sees the saddest face imaginable. That's enough to crack him. He gives in and tells Akira they'll swap at the corner. Instantly, Akira perks up like he just got a power boost. Back home, Ryota's phone buzzes. He answers, then says he'll handle it. Their dad's staying out overnight for work. Akira adds that mom won't be back until midnight. The living room feels suddenly quiet. Ryota smirks. Just us tonight. Akira nods, already getting the idea. Moments later, a cardboard box opens. Fighting game. Pizza. Controllers. Bliss. Later, Akira's deep into the game, yelling with excitement. Ryota looks over and notices something. He points it out. Akira's got sauce smeared on his face. Akira starts rubbing randomly, trying to find it. Ryota wipes it for her, causing her to blush. Ryota suddenly says he's glad to be Akira's brother, catching her off guard. He explains he would have spent summers alone if not for her. Akira asks why. He could have played with anyone else. Ryota shrugs. I'd rather have a few close bonds than a bunch of friends. What about you? Akira hesitates. I don't hate it, but it feels kinda weird in my chest when I'm with you. Still, I like hanging out with you, Eneki. Ryota smiles. Then I want us to get even closer. Akira blinks. Ha. Ryota grins. Let's take a bath together. Akira freezes, completely stunned. Akira still doesn't seem convinced. He asks if Ryota just wants his back washed. Ryota scratches his head and says he can handle his own hair. But Akira leans in again, clearly still feeling uneasy. He mentions that being in high school makes things like this feel awkward. Sharing a bath now, especially between siblings, doesn't seem appropriate. Hearing the word siblings again makes Ryota tense slightly. To him, that's the very reason he wants to do it. He responds with determination, insisting that bonding through everyday moments is what makes their connection stronger. With wide gestures and a serious tone, he tries to explain the importance of being comfortable in these situations. He points out that Akira has never gone into a public bath or sauna with others before. Akira quietly agrees. Ryota reminds himself that school trips and family outings may include hot springs, and that this kind of experience could help Akira feel more at ease when the time comes. For Ryota, it's not just about bathing, it's about helping his younger brother grow more confident and relaxed in the world around him. Even then, Akira's expression stays uncertain. He brings up the possibility of their mother or uncle finding out. His tone becomes cautious, and there's clear hesitation in his body language. Ryota answers calmly, assuring him that something this ordinary won't cause any problems. He doesn't see it as a big deal. Akira remains unsure, uncertain if this really counts as harmless. Ryota gently suggests they treat it as a quiet moment just between them. Akira repeats the idea softly, still processing, and Ryota nods, thinking it settled. Before Ryota can say more, Akira hesitantly asks if he really likes him, revealing his nervousness. Ryota says of course, Akira is family, someone he cares about deeply. But even as he says it, he feels something more he can't quite name. Akira then asks if Ryota would take responsibility if anyone found out. Ryota nods sincerely, not fully understanding the concern but meaning every word. Akira finally agrees. If it's just washing backs, maybe it's okay. His voice is small, uncertain. Ryota doesn't yet realize the emotional weight behind Akira's words. Akira stands alone outside the bathroom door. He stays frozen for a while, caught in hesitation. After a small breath, he takes a step forward and opens the door. Ryota, already inside with his back turned, waits silently while trying to stay calm. His eyes are closed, his thoughts drifting to an earlier memory. He recalls the last time Akira accidentally saw him unclothed, how startled Akira had been and how quickly he'd fled the room. Ryota hopes this new moment helps Akira become more comfortable around same-gender nudity. There's a small smile on his face as he reminds himself this is something he's doing for Akira's benefit. Akira stands quietly behind him, covering his upper body and trying not to be obvious about it. Ryota, still seated, breaks the silence and asks if Akira has ever washed anyone's back before. Akira replies that he did once, his father's when he was very young, but he doesn't remember it clearly. Ryota responds with a soft smile and tells him to start by pouring warm water on his back. Akira agrees and does as he's told. As the warmth spreads across his back, Ryota lets out a relaxed sigh, genuinely enjoying the sensation. The sound catches Akira off guard, and he reacts immediately, clearly flustered. Ryota doesn't respond to the comment and simply hands him the soap, asking him to continue. Akira hesitates again, then rubs the soap between his hands, creating a thick layer of bubbles. With a gulp, he finally moves closer and reaches out. Ryota flinches and lets out a startled sound as he feels Akira's hands. He quickly turns to ask if Akira is really using his bare hands. Akira pulls back in alarm, thinking he made a mistake. He explains that he usually washes himself with just his hands. Ryota apologizes for reacting strongly and calmly tells him that in this situation, it's better to use a body towel. He motions toward the corner, pointing out a blue towel that should be nearby. Akira finds it and picks it up slowly. He admits that washing with his hands did feel a little strange. After fidgeting a bit more, he finally gets ready to continue, now using the towel instead. A few moments later, Akira begins scrubbing Ryota's back more deliberately. The movements are gentle at first, careful and uncertain. He leans in a little and asks how it feels. Ryota glances back slightly, noting that his back isn't exactly delicate. Akira catches the hint and checks if it's okay to apply more pressure. Ryota gives a slow nod, telling him it's fine. In fact, he encourages him to go all in, even joking that it's fine if his back ends up turning red. With that, Akira suddenly stands upright. There's a visible shift in his posture, a quiet sense of determination settling in. He nods to himself and gets to work, putting all his energy into it. Each motion is firm and focused, like he's determined to scrub every inch clean. But then, without warning, his hands slip. He loses balance and stumbles forward. The surrounding towel loosens slightly as he falls, and in a moment too fast to process, Akira ends up landing on Ryota's back. He freezes instantly, his entire body going stiff. The impact causes his face to turn pale. There's confusion in his thoughts, quickly turning into shock. Akira scrambles off his back, clearly panicked and apologizing under his breath. But Ryota's mind doesn't move on so easily. In that split second, something strikes him, not just awareness, but a feeling so sudden and vivid that it almost knocks the wind out of him. It isn't just physical contact that surprises him, it's the realization that follows. The sensation wasn't random, it was soft, it had weight, and there were clearly two separate forms. As that understanding forms, the sensation wasn't random. As that understanding forms, his brain processes it all at once with frightening speed. His thoughts rush ahead, connecting the details, and then it hits him. His eyes snap open, and at that moment, he reaches a single terrifying conclusion. Ryota's mind crashes from the shock. Still trembling, he leans forward and asks that's been silently forming if Akira is actually his sister, not his brother. Akira steps back, adjusts her towel, and gives a soft nod. The confirmation hits Ryota hard. His thoughts spiral out of control, linking this moment to other historic misunderstandings. He recalls Columbus landing in America by mistake, and the fall of the Berlin Wall, triggered by confusion. It all feels connected. He drops to his knees, overwhelmed. Later, face flushed with shame, he apologizes to Akira. She sighs and admits she also misunderstood things. Before walking away, she asks Ryota to keep everything that happened a secret. He silently agrees. He goes to his parents and explains his situation, telling them how he thought Akira was his brother all this time and how he treated her like one. He admits that he might have hurt Akira without realizing it. Ryota's father calls him an unfortunate guy, but Akira's mother tries to calm him, saying that Akira is still his sibling and that she has seen them getting along well, so it does not matter if Akira is a girl. However, Ryota cannot stop thinking about what he has done before, and to him, it feels like a serious problem. Miyuki then asks how he even found out that Akira is a girl, which makes Ryota hesitate and look shocked. His father joins Miyuki in questioning him, asking how he discovered the truth. Just then, Akira walks in, wondering what they are talking about. Ryota looks at her with a worried expression while his father quickly explains that Ryota is just telling them about history, and Miyuki supports his cover. Akira looks confused and does not understand what they mean, so she asks Ryota to come upstairs with her if he is free. They go to a room and sit down, and Ryota asks what she wants to talk about. With an upset expression, Akira demands to know if he told them about the bath incident. Ryota quickly explains that he did not tell them anything about that. He only told them how he never knew Akira was a girl and asked for advice because he thought he might have hurt her and wanted to know what to do now. After hearing this, Akira feels relieved. She warns Ryota again to keep the bath incident a secret and assures him that she does not mind how he treated her. She also explains that she never wore girly clothes or talked like a girl, and that she was the one who agreed to take the bath, so it was not Ryota's fault. But Ryota tells her it is not her fault but his own, as he could not even realize after spending 3 weeks with her that she was a girl. Akira agrees and says that it is settled, so they should just hang out like they used to, playing games, lending comics, and going shopping together as before, like brothers do. Ryota hesitantly agrees, saying that if she is fine with it, they can do so. Akira tells him not to be distant just because she is a girl. As Ryota sits farther away from her, Akira notices and points out that he is even keeping his distance now, though he usually sits beside her more closely. Ryota explains with a sad face that it will be difficult for him to stay the same as before since, even if she is his sister, she is still a girl, and he needs to be more conscious around her. Akira smiles and asks if getting closer to her will stop him from feeling conscious of her. She moves closer to him and reminds him of what he said the previous day, that he wanted to become closer to Akira, and asks if those were not his true feelings. Ryota hesitates as he replies that they were true, but before he can finish, Akira leans in closer and tells him that he also said she should feel more comfortable around him. She then asks if those words were only meant for when she was thought to be a little brother. Ryota quickly disagrees. Akira asks why he is not looking at her properly and makes him face her. She leans in with a smirk and teasingly asks if he is feeling embarrassed because she is a girl. Ryota blushes and shyly tells her to be patient with him. Akira notices his reaction, steps back slightly, and with a playful smile tells him that she will make him get used to his little sister more. Then Akira calls Ryota to sit next to her. He hesitates, but eventually sits down beside her. Catching him off guard, Akira suddenly pushes him onto the bed and sits on him playfully, asking how he feels about it. Shocked, Ryota asks what she is doing. Akira notices his red, embarrassed face and teases him again, asking if he is feeling shy. Ryota tells her to stop teasing him, but Akira insists it's just training, so he won't get flustered around her anymore. Suddenly, she takes off her shirt, leaving him shocked and panicked as he yells in surprise. She quickly tells him to quiet down, warning that their parents might hear. Calmly, she adds that this is still less awkward than the time she was only in a towel, and reminds him that during a recent game he got close and called her pretty. Ryota, blushing hard, tries to explain himself, saying it was different back then because he did not know she was a girl. But Akira refuses to let it go, saying that he even made her close her eyes and she thought he was going to kiss her at that time. Ryota tries to explain again, saying she knows that was not his intention, but Akira only cares that he said her face was pretty. She asks him if she still looks pretty to him now. Ryota gets embarrassed and mumbles something. Akira asks what he said, and Ryota finally admits that she is pretty. He adds that she did not seem happy back then when he told her that, so why is she asking now? Akira smiles and says she was happy that time too, her face bright with joy, which makes Ryota even more flustered. He thinks to himself that this feeling is bad and that the mood between them right now is dangerous. Just then, Miyuki's voice calls from downstairs, saying that lunch is ready and they should come to eat. At night, he enters his room and throws himself onto the bed lifelessly. He thinks about how Miyuki-san's voice saved him earlier and decides that from now on, he should treat Akira only as his sister. Yet he cannot forget her face from before, and as he remembers it, He begins to squirm restlessly on his bed, unable to shake the image from his mind. The next day, Ryota lies comfortably on his bed, peacefully reading manga. The room is quiet until a soft knock comes from the door. When he looks up, Akira stands there, asking if she can read manga in his room too. Without giving it much thought, Ryota nods and returns his attention to the pages. Akira, however, has something else in mind. She quietly approaches him, a playful glint in her eyes, and suddenly lies across his back with a teasing smile. Ryota lets out a startled cry of pain as his back aches under her weight, making Akira burst into laughter. Settling down comfortably, Akira rests her head against Ryota's back, sighing in contentment. She murmurs that the support beneath her feels just right, making Ryota blush instantly. Her words linger in his ears, and he becomes acutely aware of how close they are. Akira giggles softly, saying it feels like the perfect fit, completely unaware of how flustered he has become. Ryota tries to act composed, but his heart races as she relaxes even further. Soon she begins to grow drowsy, mumbling that the warmth reminds her of her father's back. Ryota's eyes widen at the comparison. He nervously tries to wake her, asking her to get off before she completely drifts into sleep. But Akira ignores his protests, slowly falling asleep on top of him, leaving Ryota trapped in quiet embarrassment. As Akira sleeps peacefully, Ryota sighs quietly. If she had truly been his brother as he once believed, he would have brushed it off as harmless play. But now that she is revealed to be his sister, everything feels uncertain and confusing. Akira continues to act naturally around him, just as she always has before, unaware of the turmoil inside him. Later, she challenges him to a video game, her competitive energy returning with ease. When she wins, she teases him playfully, claiming that she would never marry anyone weaker than her, referring to the game's characters. Ryota tries to laugh it off, pretending to be calm, but inside he feels uneasy. The thought lingers that this is no longer just a simple sibling moment. Though he tries to appear relaxed, he remains constantly on edge around her, struggling to ignore the new tension between them. Miyuki walks in and sees them playing together. Smiling softly, she thinks they're getting along well. Ryota forces a small smile back, unsure if any of this is really normal. To Miyuki, it looks like simple sibling bonding. But to him, it feels far more complicated. He doesn't understand why his emotions keep betraying him, or how to deal with the growing closeness between them. Later that night, he calls Kosei and explains his situation. He tries to tell him that the person he once believed was his brother has turned out to be his sister, but Kosei fails to understand what he means. He assumes Ryota has lost his mind and jokingly tells him to go to a hospital. The call ends abruptly, leaving Ryota staring blankly at his phone, wondering why he even stays friends with him. Kosei had once told him to contact his sister Hinata if he ever needed help, but Ryota decides against it. He does not want to involve anyone else in this strange situation. He exhales deeply and tells himself to stop being so self-conscious. A tired expression crosses his face as he leans back, thinking about how long this exhausting emotional training will continue. A few days later, on August 20th, Ryota sits in the living room watching television. A small note on the table catches his eye, Miyuki's handwriting, explaining that she and Akira have gone shopping. Time passes quietly until the door opens and a cheerful voice fills the air. Ryota looks up, greets them casually, and asks about their trip. When his gaze falls on Akira, he freezes. She is wearing her new school uniform, standing shyly as if waiting for his reaction. Ryota stammers internally, caught off guard by how well it suits her. His face heats up as he tries to form words, realizing too late how awkward he must look. Miyuki explains that the new school term is starting soon, and they had gone to pick up Akira's uniform. Miyuki then looks thoughtful and comments that the skirt seems a little short, worrying that a strong breeze might lift it. Akira, however, appears unconcerned and assures her that it is the standard length. She turns her attention toward Aniki with a playful attitude, leaving him tense and embarrassed. Trying to stay composed, he adds that many girls at school wear skirts that short, and that it probably will not cause a problem. Deep down, though, he admits to himself that he does not dislike how it looks, which only deepens his blush. Miyuki laughs and mentions that their school uniform is known for being cute. Ryota remains surprised that Akira chose to wear it home, but Miyuki explains that she liked how it looked and insisted on keeping it on. During their walk back, Miyuki admits she felt uncomfortable because several men stared at Akira. Ryota finds it ironic since Miyuki was the one who helped choose the uniform. Even so, she says she feels reassured when Ryota is with Akira, believing he keeps her safe. Ryota replies calmly that Akira will be fine even on her own, though he feels a quiet sense of concern beneath his words. Miyuki goes on to explain that Akira might seem lively at home, but is shy and quiet at school. She says a teacher once mentioned that Akira appeared uncooperative and too reserved during class. Ryota doubts this and recalls how strong-willed Akira seemed when they first met, her attitude nothing like what Miyuki describes. A moment later, Akira walks into the room, tilting her head curiously. She looks between them, sensing they were talking about her. Miyuki simply smiles, while Ryota glances away, uneasy and unsure how much Akira has overheard. The air grows slightly awkward again, leaving Ryota lost in thought. Every ordinary moment with her now feels layered with emotions he cannot explain, and he realizes that nothing between them will ever feel simple again. As they talk, Akira comes in and Miyuki explains that they are just discussing the second semester starting soon. Akira walks up to her mother and asks her to teach her how to wear a bra. Hearing this, Ryota becomes tense, and Miyuki quickly tells Akira that she should feel embarrassed talking about such things in front of him. Akira, however, remains playful and says it is no big deal. She teases Ryota further, saying she betrayed him, but usually does not go braless, only wears a sports bra since it feels more comfortable than a regular one. Ryota feels his face grow warm and tells her she does not need to share such details. Akira laughs and tells him not to be shy before calling her mother to come upstairs, saying she is waiting. Miyuki apologizes to Ryota for Akira's behavior, but he tells her it is all right. She then begins explaining that after buying the school uniform, they also went to a lingerie shop because the first one she bought for Akira did not fit properly. She says it was a waste since they were so cute, and also Akira's first bras. Ryota sits awkwardly, thinking he does not need to know any of this. Miyuki admits she does not understand why Akira suddenly wants to start wearing a bra, saying there might be a reason behind it. Ryota silently wonders if that reason could be him, immediately denying the thought but unable to push it away completely. Later, Ryota sits at his desk, lost in thought. It is August 20th, and summer vacation will end on the 24th, leaving only a few days remaining. Akira walks into his room, asking if he is studying. She carries snacks and juice, and Ryota tells her to set them on the table. Instead, she sits down beside him and begins eating. He asks why she is eating his snacks, and Akira casually replies that she brought them. He thinks she did not bring them for him, but she smiles and offers him one anyway. Her lighthearted teasing draws his attention, and soon they start eating together. Ryota asks if she has finished her summer homework, and Akira says she has completed it. While they talk, Ryota finds his thoughts drifting. He feels that the distance between them right now feels right, close enough to be comfortable, but not too close to stir confusion. Just as he begins to relax, Akira suddenly stands and shows him her new bra, asking what he thinks. Ryota freezes, unsure how to react, wondering why she is asking him something like that. Akira steps closer, saying he cannot see it properly like this, and lifts her shirt slightly to reveal it more clearly. Ryota jumps back in shock, his chair sliding behind him. Akira bursts out laughing, saying she was only joking. Ryota looks away, his face burning, completely flustered by her teasing once again. Ryota looks at Akira with disbelief and asks if she feels no embarrassment at all about what she just did. Akira, with an easy smile, explains that it's completely normal. She's seen her friends do the same at their homes, casually walking around in their underwear without caring much. Ryota sighs and reminds her that every household has its own rules, and in this house, things like that don't happen. She should be more mindful of that. He checks the time, says his study break is over, and turns back to his desk to continue studying. But Akira doesn't leave. She leans forward with a playful grin, saying she'll stay and keep an eye on him so he doesn't slack off. Ryota doesn't reply and decides to ignore her, thinking she'll eventually get bored and go away. Later that night, after finishing his notes, Ryota turns around and notices Akira fast asleep on his bed. Her breathing is calm, her face relaxed in the quiet light of the desk lamp. He walks over softly and pulls a blanket over her shoulders so she won't catch a cold. As he tucks her in, Akira murmurs something in her sleep, thanking him and calling him Dad. Ryota freezes for a moment, then smiles faintly. The warmth in her voice stirs something gentle in his chest, and he returns to his desk feeling quietly content. Morning arrives with sunlight streaming through the curtains. Ryota puts on his school uniform, noticing how neatly pressed it is. He figures Miyuki must have sent it for dry cleaning and makes a note to thank her later. He packs his bag and goes downstairs, where Akira is already at the table eating breakfast, dressed in her new uniform. Ryota greets her, surprised to see her up so early. She replies that she woke up around 5. Ryota chuckles and says she must be excited for her first day of school, but Akira admits she's actually nervous. He tells her it's natural to feel that way, but she'll be fine once she gets there. When she sighs deeply, he reminds her to just introduce herself confidently, say her name and greet everyone as they practiced. She nods with a small smile, though the nerves remain on her face. They walk together to the station, Akira staying close, clutching her bag as if afraid to lose him. Ryota glances at her, thinking she looks like a timid kitten seeking comfort. When the train arrives, they sit side by side. Akira fidgets nervously, muttering about how to introduce herself, while Ryota watches quietly, wondering if she's okay. She then rests her head on his shoulder, whispering that it helps her feel calm and asks to stay like that a little longer. It helps her recharge. Ryota feels a small stir in his chest but stays still, letting her rest until they reach their stop. As they step off the train, Akira gently tugs his sleeve, asking him to walk beside her. She complains about her tight loafers, saying she's not used to them. Ryota tells her she'll adjust soon, but Akira smirks and teases that he's gotten used to having her around too. He blushes and tells her not to say things like that in public. She laughs softly and skips ahead, clearly enjoying his reaction. At school, Ryota spots his friends Kosei and Hanada waiting near the gate. He waves and goes over to greet them. Both of them freeze for a moment, staring at Akira in surprise. Hanada's eyes widen as she takes in Akira's calm and polite appearance. Ryota introduces them, explaining that Akira is his stepsister. Akira bows politely and introduces herself as Akira Himeno. Hanada tilts her head, noticing that Ryota's surname is Majima, not Himeno. Ryota explains that Miyuki changed her surname after marrying his father, but Akira decided to keep her old one because she loved her late father deeply and wanted to honor him that way. Hanada nods slowly, impressed by her sincerity. Ryota goes on to introduce Kosei, joking that he's a good-looking guy but a total disappointment when it comes to responsibility. Kosei grins in protest while Hanada, who's standing next to him, rolls her eyes. Ryota tells Akira that Hanada is Kosei's younger sister and a first-year student. Hanada, curious, looks between Ryota and Akira and asks what kind of relationship they have. Ryota smiles and answers that they're step-siblings, like he mentioned before. Hanada blinks, then laughs in disbelief, recalling how Ryota once told her he had a younger brother from his stepmother. Ryota chuckles awkwardly and corrects her, saying it's not a brother, it's actually a sister. Kosei laughs and calls Ryota a complete idiot for not realizing earlier that Akira was a girl. Hanada, on the other hand, looks delighted, happy to see that Ryota actually has a sister. Kosei jokes that it must be hard for Akira to live with such a foolish brother. Akira smiles politely and says they should get going since it's getting late, but Kosei points out that there's still time before class begins. Akira reminds him that she needs to visit the staff room before homeroom since she's a new student. Hanada immediately offers to show her the way, saying she knows where it is. Ryota thanks her for helping, and Akira agrees with a grateful nod. Hanada beams and says she's glad to meet her, calling her Akira-chan. Akira laughs gently and tells her to just call her Akira. With cheerful energy, Hanada leads the way as the two girls head toward the staff room together. After they leave, Kosei turns to Ryota with a teasing grin. He shakes his head and says Ryota is even dumber than he thought for assuming Akira was his younger brother. He asks how Ryota eventually found out, and Ryota admits awkwardly that it just happened by chance. Kosei smirks, leaning against the wall, and asks if Akira behaves the same way at home too, so quiet and gentle. Ryota says it actually surprises him to see her acting like this outside. Kosei chuckles and says she'll be fine with Hanada around, then adds that he's glad Ryota has friends who look out for him. Ryota nods sincerely, thanking him for saying that and for helping him in the morning. Out of nowhere, Kosei comments that Akira is really cute. Ryota blinks, immediately suspicious of his tone. But Kosei waves his hand quickly, insisting it's not what he meant. He only wanted to ask if Ryota ever feels attracted to her. Ryota jumps in surprise, his face turning red as he tells Kosei not to say ridiculous things. She's his sister. There's nothing like that between them. Kosei laughs it off, saying that's good, and smoothly changes the topic by asking if Ryota has studied Mendel's law. The mention of that subject hits Ryota harder than expected. He goes silent for a moment, remembering what his mother once said about him and feeling that same heavy weight inside. He lowers his eyes and admits he hasn't. Kosei, who has known Ryota for years, instantly recognizes the shift in his expression. He's one of the few who knows what those words stir in Ryota. His friend's shoulders drop slightly, and Kosei realizes he's touched a sore point. Ryota quietly vows to himself that he'll never do anything that brings unhappiness to his family. He'll protect Akira no matter what. He won't make the same mistakes his mother did. Kosei softens, apologizes for nagging, and tells him to relax. Ryota thanks him for caring. Then Kosei suddenly remembers something and grabs Ryota by the arm with a mischievous grin. He reminds him that he still owes them a meal for helping clean his house. Ryota groans but admits he hasn't forgotten. Kosei says he's been busy with his part-time job, so Ryota should at least take Hinata out for dinner since she waited all summer for him to call. He waves goodbye, teasing that Ryota has two problems now, Akira and Hinata, and leaves laughing. Ryota blinks, unable to understand what he meant exactly, but thinks maybe all three of them, Akira, Hinata, and himself, could go somewhere together after school. During lunch, students around the school are already whispering about Akira's surname. At their table, Kosei and Ryota overhear the gossip while eating. It seems Akira has become quite popular already. Kosei looks uneasy and tells Ryota that leaving her alone might not be a good idea. The boys might start swarming around her, so he should go check on her. Ryota sighs and says he doesn't want to go alone, but eventually, Kosei convinces him, and they both head to her class. When they reach the classroom, they see a large crowd gathered around Akira. Kosei tilts his head. Realizing the crowd isn't just boys but also girls, he laughs softly and asks if Akira's popular among girls too. Ryota nods, explaining that she told him she used to get confessions from girls in her previous school, and it was more troublesome being liked by girls than by boys. Kosei observes the crowd and jokes that no boy will ever get close to her at this rate. Ryota feels relieved when he notices Hinata among them, thinking Akira will be safe with her. Inside the classroom, Akira stands surrounded by curious girls. They ask endless questions: what club she plans to join, if she has a boyfriend, where she's from. Hinata steps in, telling them to calm down because they're overwhelming her. But before the crowd disperses, their attention shifts toward the doorway when they spot Kosei standing there. The girls whisper that he looks really cool, and some giggle while nudging Hinata. Akira follows their gaze, sees Ryota beside Kosei, and her face brightens instantly. Relief floods her expression, and before anyone can react, she runs up to Ryota and wraps her arms around him tightly. The whole class freezes in shock. Ryota stares down at her, surprised to see tears glistening in her eyes. The classroom fills with murmurs and whispers, everyone wondering about their relationship. Realizing the misunderstanding, Ryota quickly explains that he's Akira's brother. The chatter dies down as he gently leads her outside the classroom. Once they're alone, Akira apologizes for suddenly clinging to him, but he tells her it's all right. He smiles teasingly, saying the most popular girl transferred, so of course she'll be the center of attention. Akira blushes and tells him to stop teasing. She asks if he came to help her, and he nods, saying he was just worried and wanted to make sure she was fine. He reassures her that things will settle down soon and that if she ever feels troubled, she can always call him. Akira feels touched by his words, her eyes softening. Ryota reaches out and gently pats her head, saying he's her big brother after all. Akira's cheeks redden at his gesture, and she shyly thanks him with a small smile that lights up her face. Later, when Ryota returns to class, Kosei looks at him with a deadpan expression and asks if he's done joking around with his sister. Ryota laughs and says yes, but Kosei still looks drained. He asks why Kosei looks like he's had a rough day, and Kosei explains that he got bored waiting, then received a message from Hinata saying people kept asking her about Akira and Ryota's relationship. She told everyone they were just siblings to clear the confusion. Ryota feels embarrassed and apologizes for causing trouble. Kosei waves it off and tells him to thank Hinata properly when they walk home together after school. Later in class, the teacher informs everyone that some suspicious people have been spotted near the school. The students are advised to head home in groups, and extra caution is given to the girls. The announcement creates a tense atmosphere as the day ends. When the final bell rings, Akira and Hinata decide to leave together. As they walk near the school gate, a group of unfamiliar boys approaches them. Their casual smiles quickly turn unsettling as they begin asking personal questions, wanting to know their names, whether they have boyfriends, and throwing in compliments about how cute they look. Akira tries to stay composed, but Hinata grows uneasy, glancing around for help. Just then, Ryota appears, noticing the scene from a short distance away. Without hesitation, he steps forward, his tone calm but firm as he tells the boys that Akira and Hinata are with him. The sudden interruption catches them off guard. Akira feels a wave of relief seeing him there. The boys shift their attention toward Ryota, their expressions turning smug. One of them laughs, saying he's just a second-year student and shouldn't get involved. Ryota's hands tighten at his sides, anger rising inside him. But before the situation worsens, another presence approaches. Kause walks up beside him, his menacing glare enough to change the surrounding air. The boys recognize him instantly, an upperclassman not to be messed with. Their arrogance fades as they mumble excuses and quickly walk away. Kause confronts Hinata, reminding her that he told her not to listen to guys like that. Hinata explains that she got scared because they were seniors. Ryota thinks that Kause is really helpful at times like this, and then he notices Akira hiding behind him. Seeing that she is scared, he gently taps her head and tells her it's okay now. He thinks to himself that he should be more reliable for Akira in moments like this. Kause then calls out, saying they are leaving, and Akira and Ryota join him. Later that day, Akira sits at her study table, lost in thought. She keeps thinking about how Aniki patted her head earlier. Her heart feels restless as she wonders if he is kind to her only because she is his sister, or because she is a girl. These thoughts fill her mind, leaving her quietly confused. It is September, a week after school has started. Akira finishes her assignment and studies with her brother. Afterward, she asks him to give her a piggyback ride to the front of her room. He agrees and thinks he has already gotten used to these small requests. After the piggyback ride, she asks Aniki to wash her back. Hearing this, he feels embarrassed and uneasy, still not used to such things. At that moment, Miyuki arrives and calls Akira to come with her. She tells Ryota to stay upstairs and not come down until she calls him. After some time, Ryota grows curious and goes downstairs. He sees Akira and Miyuki together. Miyuki shows him the dress she bought for Akira and asks what he thinks of it. And if Akira looks cute, she even helps Akira put on a bit of makeup. Ryota stands still, speechless, as he sees Akira in her new dress. Akira feels shy and asks if the dress doesn't suit her, since she rarely wears clothes like that. Ryota tells her it suits her and that she looks great. Akira blushes a little after hearing his words. Miyuki watches them with a smile, enjoying their awkwardness. She jokes that they look like a couple on their first date, then playfully pushes Akira toward Ryota and tells them to go somewhere fun. With Miyuki's encouragement, the two siblings leave for what feels like their first date. They go out of the house, even though neither of them knows what to do or where to go. Akira looks around for a moment before pointing toward a small shop across the street. She tells Ryota that she has always wanted to visit that coffee shop, and he nods in agreement, deciding to follow her lead. When they step inside, the soft sound of jazz music greets them, and the aroma of freshly brewed coffee fills the air. Akira eagerly walks to the counter to place her order, while Ryota stands quietly near the entrance. As he waits, he overhears a few guys nearby whispering about Akira, saying that she's really cute and wondering if the guy next to her is her boyfriend. Hearing that makes Ryota feel uneasy and awkward, unsure how to react to their comments. After Akira finishes ordering, they find a table. Ryota chooses a seat across from her, but Akira quickly tells him not to sit there and instead to sit beside her. The sudden request makes Ryota blush in embarrassment, but he still does as she says. When he sits down, Akira smiles mischievously and says it almost feels like she's on a date with him. Ryota immediately tells her to stop talking nonsense and reminds her that they're just siblings. Still teasing, Akira giggles and says people might mistake them for a couple. Ryota sighs, feeling flustered by her playful tone, and Akira notices his change in expression. She softly asks if something is wrong. Ryota shakes his head but admits that he feels like he should be more responsible as her brother. He explains that after everything that happened recently, he's been thinking about how to protect her properly. Akira listens quietly and then tells him that he doesn't need to worry so much because she can't depend on him forever. She wants to learn to stand on her own. Ryota forces a small smile and says that if that's the case, then he won't worry about her anymore. But inside, he doesn't feel right about it. He feels frustrated, thinking that he's making the person he's supposed to protect feel like she has to take care of him instead. Deep down, he decides that he needs to change, to become someone who can stand proudly as Akira's brother. Later at school, Ryota and Kase chat casually between classes. Kase mentions that he needs to go to the staff room and tells Ryota he will have to head home without him today. Ryota doesn't mind since Akira and Hinata will be with him. The two girls have started getting along better, especially after the incident with the third years. Since then, they often go home together, and after that Strangers Guys incident they don't go alone, so Ryota has no choice left now but to act as Akira's big brother. At the end of the day, Ryota walks out of school and notices the sky rumbling with dark clouds. He sighs and thinks that he should have brought an umbrella. The wind grows stronger as he walks down the empty street, the faint sound of thunder echoing in the distance. Then from a narrow alley nearby, he hears a sharp noise like someone struggling. Alarmed, he follows the sound and stops in shock when he notes what's happening. A man is grabbing Akira's arm. She's trying to pull away, her voice trembling as she tells the man to let her go. Without hesitation, Ryota sprints toward them, shouting at the top of his voice for the man to stop hurting her. He grabs the man by the collar, his grip firm and trembling with anger, warning him not to lay a hand on Akira again. The man stares at Ryota, startled by his sudden outburst and the fierce look in his eyes. He asks who Ryota thinks he is to interfere like this. The man then grabs Ryota's collar, and for a brief moment, our boy feels that he's about to be hit. But instead of stepping back in fear, he remembers the promise he made to himself, to become stronger and more reliable for Akira's sake. With steady eyes, he looks straight at the man and declares that he's Akira's brother. Then he turns to Akira and tells her to run away and not worry about him. Before either of them can move, the man suddenly releases his grip, and Ryota stumbles to the ground confused. Akira quickly rushes to him, telling him to calm down. She then turns toward the man, her tone softening as she tells him to calm down too, and calls him Dad. Ryota freezes at her words, his mind going blank as he realizes the man he just fought with is Akira's father. Feeling embarrassed, Ryota quickly stands up and apologizes. Akira's father looks just as surprised, but soon lets out a small sigh and apologizes too, saying he didn't know Ryota was Akira's brother. The tension fades as they all decide to sit down on a nearby park bench, the rain beginning to drizzle softly around them. Akira's father introduces himself properly as Takeru Himeno. He looks calm now, his earlier anger gone. Ryota bows his head slightly and apologizes once more, admitting that he jumped to conclusions and acted recklessly. Takeru smiles faintly and tells him it's all right, that any brother would have done the same in his place. He says Ryota was just trying to protect Akira, and that's something a father can respect. The three of them sit there quietly for a while. Ryota feels relieved yet still embarrassed, but deep down, he's glad that even in his mistake, he managed to show how much he truly cares for Akira. To explain how it all started, Akira had left school early that day. On her way home, a few strangers tried to approach her, making her uncomfortable. Before anything could happen, her father appeared and stepped in, handling the situation immediately. After everything calms down, he notices that Akira's skirt is quite short and tells her to come with him so he can buy her a new one. Akira refuses, insisting that it's fine, and starts resisting. That's when Ryota arrives and misunderstands the whole scene. After realizing the truth, Ryota feels ashamed for jumping to conclusions. Looking at Akira's father, he still can't believe he grabbed such a tough-looking man by the collar. But Akira blames her father for the misunderstanding, scolding him for being too forceful. Her father admits it was his fault, but Ryota quickly says he's the one who misunderstood. Akira cuts in, saying it's partly her fault too for not stopping him in time to explain. Watching them go back and forth, her father chuckles and teases that they seem very close, making both of them blush. Akira glares and tells him to apologize properly. He finally bows his head slightly and apologizes, saying it was a misunderstanding on both sides and there's no need to be upset. Ryota just acted like a true brother. The words make Ryota feel a little more at ease. Her father then asks for his name, and Ryota introduces himself as Ryota Majima. Upon hearing the surname, Takeru pauses for a moment and says it's a nice name. Then his expression turns serious. He tells Ryota that, as he can see, he isn't a great father. He describes himself as a washed-up actor with a short temper, often hurting the people he loves, his wife and daughter. Ryota feels sorry and wants to comfort him, but Takeru speaks first. Looking at Akira with a faint, bittersweet smile, Takeru says she now has a good brother and seems to have settled into her new family. His voice carries a hint of sadness as he sighs and says it's time for him to let his daughter go. Akira's expression softens, her anger fading into quiet sadness. Takeru explains he can't keep interfering in her life. It would only make things harder for her and her new father. Turning to Ryota, he says Akira has a sharp tongue and might not act cute, but she's still his daughter. He bows his head slightly and asks Ryota to take care of her. Ryota nods sincerely, feeling the weight of his words and silently promising to protect Akira like a real brother. Akira feels sad watching her father like this. Takeru looks at her and gently tells her not to fall for strange men so easily. His tone is calm but filled with concern. Akira's heart clenches as she watches him turn away. She calls out, asking when he will come back again, but he doesn't answer and keeps walking. Ryota and Akira stand silently, their eyes following him as he disappears into the rain. Ryota feels uneasy, wondering if Takeru intends not to see Akira again. He can't just stand still and watch. He takes a few steps forward, wanting to stop Takeru, but Miyuki's words echo in his mind, that Akira's father doesn't want to have any children in his life anymore. Ryota stops in hesitation, questioning himself. Akira and Takeru are connected by blood. Is it even right for him to interfere between them? Still, when Akira calls out for her dad and gets no response, Ryota notices the sadness in her voice. Without thinking, he grabs her hand and starts running after Takeru. As the rain pours harder, Ryota calls out Takeru's name loudly. When Takeru stops and turns around, Ryota gathers his courage and speaks from his heart. He tells Takeru that he's the happiest person now because he lives with Akira. Akira blushes deeply, her eyes filling with tears as she listens. Ryota continues, saying that it's not just him or his family that can make Akira happy. Her father is also part of what keeps her smiling, because no matter what happens, he's still her dad. In his heart, Ryota finally understands everything. He realizes that Akira has been keeping her distance from others, not because she's cold, but because she's afraid. Afraid that her father will disappear from her life completely. When she accepted her mother's remarriage, she probably felt that his dad had drifted even further away, and that fear made her close off from everyone, even though she used to be a pampered, cheerful girl. Ryota says that he still hates his own mother for abandoning him, but Akira is different. Even if they are living apart, she will still love him no matter what. He doesn't want her to carry the same resentment he does. So standing under the heavy rain, he pleads with Takeru-san not to abandon Akira. Thunder rumbles as the three of them stand silently in the middle of the street. Takeru says nothing. He simply turns around and walks away into the storm. Ryota and Akira remain standing there, soaked and quiet, before finally heading home. Back home, Ryota changes into dry clothes and sits on his bed, thinking about what happened. He wonders if he said something he shouldn't have, his mind heavy with doubt. Then there's a knock on the door. Akira steps inside, her expression calm but soft. Ryota hesitates, then apologizes to her for earlier, but Akira smiles brightly and thanks him. She says that when he spoke up for her, especially when he said he was happiest living with her, it truly reached her heart. Ryota feels embarrassed, unable to look at her directly. Akira steps closer, her eyes gentle. She says she feels the same way, that she's also happiest because she met him. Ryota's face grows red, and he tells her to stop bringing up this topic. But Akira insists that she wants to talk more. She tells him how much she loves her father, and that when he tried to walk away, she felt like she was about to lose everything. She says Ryota spoke for her when she couldn't, and that she received a message from her father a while ago. Smiling with teary eyes, Akira tells him that her father got a supportive role in a TV drama and wants to have a meal with her once filming settles. Her voice trembles with happiness as she says that means he wants to see her again, and it's all because of Ryota, who helped her feelings reach her father. Ryota feels relieved, finally smiling as he says he's glad to hear that. Then, Akira suddenly tells him to close his eyes. Ryota looks confused and asks why, but she insists. Feeling tired and thinking she might be joking, he complies and shuts his eyes. In the next moment, he feels something soft against his cheek. His eyes fly open in shock. Akira has kissed him. He stares at her startled, asking what she just did. She blushes and quietly admits that she kissed him. When he demands to know why and what it's supposed to mean, she simply says it was a gesture of gratitude, because he made her truly happy today. Ryota stammers, saying it's not right, asking if she even realizes what she's doing or what country considers this normal. Akira looks straight at him and tells him clearly that she has never once thought of him as a substitute for her father, because a Nikki is a Nikki. He's irreplaceable. Ryota sits speechless, his mind blank, as Akira smiles softly, says goodbye, and leaves his room. Ryota lies back on his bed, his heart pounding fast. He tells himself he needs to clear his thoughts, reminding himself that he's her brother, that's all. But even as he repeats that in his head, his chest feels tight, and his heart keeps beating harder than ever. On the other side, Akira's heart is pounding fast. She muses that she actually did it, even if it was only a kiss on his cheek. She smiles to herself, feeling warm as she thinks about how cool he was today, standing up for her without hesitation. Thanks to him, she was able to mend things with her father, and that makes her truly happy. Remembering everything, she realizes again how much Ryota cares for her. The thought makes her chest tighten, and she blushes, whispering that he's always looking out for her. But then she recalls the lonely, distant look on his face earlier. Her smile fades slightly as she wonders if he's feeling alone inside. With quiet resolve, she tells herself that if he is, then it's her turn to be there for him, because helping each other is what family does. Autumn has fully arrived, mid-September. As Ryota and Akira walk together, Ryota notices everyone wearing their blazers. Akira explains that it's because the weather has become colder. He looks at her expression and asks if something is wrong. Akira happily says she really loves her blazer because it's cute and acts playfully, calling him Oni-chan. Ryota feels a bit embarrassed and asks why she is being so loud early in the morning. She insists that she is always like this and calls him Oni-chan again. Ryota gently asks why she is trying to change her tone and the way she speaks. Akira finally admits that Ryota has been talking to Hinata more than her lately. Ryota stays silent and lets her continue. She says he might think that dating Hinata would be nice because she's girlish and her gestures are cute. Ryota asks what that has to do with Akira's tone changing. Akira, a bit shy, says she feels like he will eventually stop giving her attention, and as his little sister, that makes her feel lonely. Ryota tells her it's a misunderstanding. He explains that he talks to Hinata often because she's Kausi's sister, and they've known each other for 4 years. Akira asks if that means he isn't interested in Hinata, and Ryota agrees. After a pause, he admits that Hinata is cute, but lately she has been acting a bit differently. Ryota thinks back to Monday, when Hinata greeted him cheerfully and showed him her new hair scrunchie, asking how it looked. He simply said it suited her, and she blushed before running away. Ryota later asked Kosei what was wrong with her, but Kosei didn't seem to care. Then on Tuesday, Hinata came into their class holding a tracksuit, saying she was returning it to Kosei because she took it by mistake. Before leaving, she smiled brightly and said goodbye to Ryota, which felt a bit awkward to him. Ryota asked Kosei if they had PE that day, and Kosei said they didn't, calling Hinata an idiot. After listening to all this, Akira comes to her own conclusion. She tells Ryota that Hinata-chan probably likes him. He is shocked and asks why she would think that. Akira explains that when someone likes another person, they try to be close to them as much as possible, and that's why Hinata has been acting strange. He doesn't agree and says there's nothing special about him that could make someone fall for him. Akira disagrees and tells him to have more confidence because he has many good qualities. When Ryota asks what those are, she says that he's kind. Ryota replies that being kind doesn't mean anything, because people can be kind even when they aren't interested in someone. He adds that most guys are generally kind to girls. Akira brings up Kosei, saying he isn't kind at all. Ryota laughs and says Kosei is an exception, then asks if any other guy has ever been rude to her. Akira says no. Still, Akira says she likes people who are kind. Then, blushing slightly, she adds that sometimes being kind makes someone seem really cool. Ryota asks who she means, and Akira softly answers that someone like him. To cover her embarrassment, Akira quickly says she was only talking in general, and that Ryota is really kind to her. She adds that if he treats Hinata the same way, Hinata might fall in love with him. Ryota calmly says that would never happen because the reason he is kind is only because of Akira. He tells her he likes her the way she is, so she doesn't need to change how she speaks or acts. Akira becomes flustered hearing his words. During lunch break, Hinata comes to Ryota and says she wants to talk about something. Ryota is unsure what it's about, but she says it's not the right place and asks him to come outside. Kausi teases her, asking if she is going to confess her feelings, making Hinata turn red and shout at him to be quiet. Outside, Ryota asks what she wants to talk about. Hinata says it's about Akira, who has been acting a bit strange lately. Ryota asks in what way, and Hinata explains that Akira often zones out in class and doesn't seem focused, so she thought something might have happened. Ryota says he hasn't noticed any change, as she seems normal at home. Hinata then asks if he knows anything about Akira's love life, saying it might be that she's having some trouble with it. Ryota tells her it's impossible because Akira doesn't like anyone and asks if she has ever mentioned any boy's name. Hinata replies that Akira often talks about him and no one else. Ryota doesn't know anything about that either. Still, her words remind him of when Akira said she likes someone kind, but he doesn't mention it to Hinata. She asks if he's sure Akira isn't in love, and Ryota agrees, saying she might just be zoning out for no reason. Hinata believes him and leaves after thanking him. Ryota thanks her for always caring about Akira, and she waves goodbye. Ryota stands there quietly, lost in thought as he begins to wonder if Akira might actually like someone, and the more he thinks about it, the harder his heart pounds. Later at home, Akira comes into Ryota's room to return a manga. Ryota suddenly asks if she has someone she likes. Akira screams in surprise and blushes deeply, and Ryota finds her reaction strange. She nervously asks if she really has to tell him, and seeing her flustered face, Ryota starts to believe that there really is someone she likes. He begins asking what that person looks like, what kind of personality he has, and if she knows him. Akira, confused, asks why he's asking so many questions all of a sudden. Ryota thinks for a moment and says it's because he's her brother, but Akira doesn't seem to believe that reason. Feeling awkward, Ryota lies down and tells her to just forget about the conversation. But Akira can't let it go and says that if he really wants her to tell him, there's one condition, or more like a request. Ryota looks at her curiously, and she says he'll have to sleep with her tonight. Ryota is shocked by her words, but after thinking it over, he eventually goes to her room. Once inside, the realization hits him that he's actually going to sleep beside Akira. Akira looks up and tells him to come over quickly. Ryota hesitates but moves closer, still unsure what she means by sleep with her. Akira then tells him to turn off the light because it's embarrassing. Ryota does as she says and sits beside her on the bed. Akira shyly asks if she can borrow his arm, and when he agrees, she gently hugs it. She then says that they've already done things lovers do, like hugging, kissing, and bathing together. Ryota immediately disagrees, saying those things only happened back when he didn't know she was a girl, so she can't take it that way. Akira looks at him quietly and says that if that's the case, then they can try it all again. Before Ryota can react, she grabs his arm and gently pulls him down onto the bed beside her. The room falls silent for a moment, and then Akira softly asks what he would do if she told him that she likes him. Ryota freezes in shock, his thoughts spinning as he realizes how serious her tone is. He thinks to himself that it would be troublesome, because no matter what, he can't cross that line. Akira looks at him and says she knows he values family more than anything, and that's why he feels he can't take a step forward. She adds that for this reason she's putting the situation on hold for now. But then, with a small sigh, she says that if she doesn't mark her place, someone else might take it. Ryota looks at her, confused by what she means. Akira then sits up slowly, her expression soft but firm, and says she doesn't want to trouble him. That's why, for the time being, she will remain his stepsister. As she leans closer, she looks into his eyes and quietly says that one day, he should make her his wife.
Here I am.